So I would like to underline that this initiative has been started about a year ago, and it was initiated by a joint assessment of the necessity to foster stronger cooperation with the region, with the Western Balkans, to fight the scourge of illicit trafficking of small arms and light weapons. Because these weapons represent a serious threat to our security on the European continent and to all our countries. And for what reason? Because, you know, there is the most recent, in the recent years, illustration of that risk is that we have had the use of these illicit small arms and light weapons in the Paris attacks in 2015. So the easy availability of illicit small arms for terrorist groups. But of course, on a daily basis, these illicit small arms are being used by organized crime, are being used in urban violence, in gender-based violence, and they represent so a risk for our societies and our people. And this was stressed at the global level, at the United Nations level this year at the conference in June in New York. That was the third review conference of the Program of Action of the United Nations against the illicit trafficking of small arms. And France has the responsibility of chairing that conference. But we were also developing this assessment and the need to present a new initiative because we are partners of the Western Balkans and in the coming together and closer to the European Union, and with the enlargement process and with our strong relationship with the countries in the Western Balkans, we thought that it was necessary to step up cooperation with the Western Balkan countries to fight a particular threat that you face in this region because of the remaining stockpiles of the past conflicts in the region, and also because of the geography of the situation of the region as a transit region for traffickers. And what I would like to stress also is that this is a regional approach, so it's a partnership where we join forces with Germany, who has developed a concept of the roadmap to fight this scourge in the region, and in our capacity, as I said, of chairing the UN conference, and I had personally the honor to have that responsibility last June to be chairing that conference. We had developed also in this context, the global concept, the objective of developing regional approaches. And it's important in the regions for that problem that is a worldwide problem. They are the best solved in the regions that are most affected. And we have in Europe a common responsibility to help the region to get rid of these weapons. And it's a common concern for all our people in your countries, in our countries, because these weapons, again, can be used by terrorists against our population, but it's also a constant problem in our societies to have organized crime being fueled by the easy availability of these weapons. Again, it's about fighting the trafficking of illicit small arms and light weapons. So it's not about dealing with the principle of licit possession of firearms, but there are too many illicit firearms available, and that is the problem. We need to get control of that in all our countries. And so France and Germany have decided to help you and to help the countries in the region. And with the two specific instruments. I have mentioned the roadmap, which is a very extensive strategy with 7 objectives and key performance indicators, and complemented by the coordination of donors, organization, international, like the United Nations, but also in different components like UNDP, UNODC, but also regional organizations like the OSCE, which is working for a long time already on small arms and light weapons, and also NATO, and of course, last but not least, of course, the European Union, because this initiative is also, as I said, to prepare our common destiny in Europe and to prepare the stronger cooperation and dialogue on these issues with the European Union as such. And French President of the Republic, Emmanuel Macron, had made the Berlin process meeting in Trieste last year in July, this appeal, because of this struggle in the region and throughout Europe to get a grip on this problem. He had called on states to develop an initiative, and France was willing to propose an initiative to coordinate efforts. So that's why we joined forces with Germany, that had developed the roadmap concept to say we need to complement our initiatives, complement each other, and to have 6 meetings in the regions, in each of the partners of the region, where we would develop an intense dialogue with the local authorities to establish the needs, the progress made first, but then also identify the needs for further work, because we can say, we can commend the governments in the region for what they have done and for their effort, for their political will. And it was the case also today in our meeting with the authorities and the Interior Minister and the team of the Republic of Macedonia. There is a strong political commitment and there is a progress made, but still a lot needs to be done in the whole region by all the governments. And that's why we are conducting this local coordination meeting. Again, a strong dialogue with the local governments and a coordination of the donors, organizations and donor states, partner states, and to make sure we can complement each other, avoid duplication of effort, and help with increased support from our countries, which are stepping up their cooperation, from organizations that I have mentioned, with new projects that help fill the gaps in the actions that are needed. And this is the aim of this is the aim of these meetings, and we are very pleased today that the Interior Minister of the Republic of Macedonia came this morning and made a very strong statement in confirming its commitment in conducting the implementation of the roadmap. I told him that we will have the pleasure to work with his team, but we will have also then the possibility to have the meeting in December, 11th of December in Paris, that he will receive an invitation by the French Foreign Minister to participate to the high-level meeting of our initiative in December, where we will take stock of the progress made in each of the 6 meetings in the region, and where each of the governments will present a national action plan for the implementation of the roadmap, and the international, regional organizations and the donor partner states will present new projects, new commitments in providing expertise, technical assistance, and new financial means to help the collective effort to bring a successful outcome. The target timeline is 2024. It's very clearly linked to the discussions with the EU in terms of enlargement, and we definitely need to make sure that this question, which is of concern again to all our population in your region, in our region, that we can get a control over that situation, that this will not be an obstacle in the EU enlargement process. So this is very important that we help the local governments, and that's a very strong message that we have given, that we are on the side of the government of the Republic of Macedonia. We, France and Germany, but also through our commitment and the momentum, this dynamic that we have created, also all the partners that are participating in this coordination group. And again, with the organizations I've mentioned, especially also the European Union, which has confirmed support, financial and also in technical, of course, and in integrating this effort in its overall strategy of partnership with the region and preparing for the enlargement. I will stop there. Give the floor to my colleague, my German colleague, now who will complement these elements. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. The German government is very committed to this joint project with our French colleagues, but primarily with the region. We will help you with a grand strategy, what my colleague called the roadmap. The roadmap is a strategy how to bring the problem of gun proliferation in the region under control. We still see large stocks of weapons. We see illegal imports, illicit proliferation in the region. But we also see that the region has a culture related to weapons which we have heard that you refer sometimes to happy shootings at weddings, but in the end these shootings can be very unhappy, because it happened a number of times that they led to casualties of innocent people being wounded or dying because of these happy shootings. And also the feeling of needing a weapon for your own self-protection is something that we think needs to change. So your countries all have been given a perspective to join the European Union. And in the European Union, we have a high degree of public safety, and in the context of the accession to the European Union, all these mechanisms and laws will be transferred to your countries, so you will not need weapons anymore. So it's very important for us also to stress to the population that within the context of our initiative, we hope that the circulation of weapons and also the illicit stocks can be substantially reduced, and you can become a normal country like other countries in the European Union, where you don't need weapons, and if you want to do a happy shooting, do it without real ammunition. And that's also possible, or don't do it at all. And we also, within this initiative, we will be working to strengthen the controls at the borders against illicit trafficking, and we will also work with the criminal justice system, because we think that possession and in primarily also illicit trafficking of weapons is something that needs to be prosecuted. But we also want to work with the population, with you, in order to make it clear that the possession of weapons needs to be regulated. So it's possible to have weapons if you have a reason for it, and if you store and stock it properly. If you're a hunter, or if you have any other reasons to possess a weapon. If you're in love with your weapon, you can still have it deactivated so that it's not a threat to anybody. There are standards in the European Union how to do this. These standards will need to be transposed across the region, and the region will have to adhere to these standards. So all of this is part of the partnership that we have developed together with your governments, and we count also on the media across the region to help explain the story, also follow incidents, not just when there have been shootings, but also report what then happens to the criminals, that they will be convicted, that they will be put into jail. So it's something that's you should rather refrain from doing, because there are consequences. So it's also important that this is reported in the media, not the incidents in the first place only, to contribute to changing the culture. and establishing a new culture of safety and of real happiness.